Hello, everybody. Welcome to the live. I hope you're not totally fed up with me and just the camera a little bit here. I went live last night, but that was in the interest of advertising for tonight's live, which is with Howdy to You, Garcia, which is with Hunter from The Bachelorette. I don't know if you guys were tuned in for this last time, but I spoke to Connor from The Bachelorette this last season, Katie's season. Connor was the guy who, thank you. Connor was the guy who came in a cat suit, and he was actually roommates on the show with Hunter, who's coming on tonight. Hunter, I'm really excited to speak with him. He will tell you, I think, just as quickly as I will, they got kind of a bad rap, bad edit on the show. So we're going to be talking with him about fashion, about his experience on the show. If you're interested in that, the behind the scenes scoop. If you're interested in, how Bachelor contestants figure their looks out before they go, what it's like to be to get a bad edit and have what it's like to get a bad edit, and have people turn on you. So we're going to be talking about it all. If you have questions for me about clothes, I'm sure Hunter and I could possibly field them for you. Um, so drop them in like a little Q&A thing. Uh, and yeah, so we'll address your questions as they come up, and we'll just hang out for a little bit of an interview. Thank you all for joining me. And yeah, I certainly hope there are some Bachelor Nation folks in the crowd. But even if you're not, I think, hey, it's about reality TV. It's about fame. It's about what kind of DMs people get once they've been on TV. Uh, um, just made a bit about big pants energy. I don't really know what that means, but good. Big pants are always good. Oh, hell yeah. So yeah, and maybe we can even persuade our guest Hunter tonight to adopt a big pant. I think his wardrobe would be all the better for it. Um, yeah, I'm 5'3". I can't pull out the same type fits as you. Any suggestions? I wouldn't be so. I mean, you. There's a way where we are kind of highways. Got it. There are a way where I think we are living in our own mind prison. We're living in a hellscape of our own creation, and we are kind of our own biggest critics about what we're wearing, right? So a lot of times when I get people saying, I can't pull off this look because I'm blah, 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 I mean, sometimes it's just because you yourself are your own biggest critic and you are, just being really critical of yourself, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you can't pull it off. How do I invite? Uh, he's not on yet. Yeah, so I would say like before you start to say I can't pull off certain things or whatever, if I like canned beans before you start taking styles off the table because of your height or build or whatever, just try and give them a go. Um, so that's what I would recommend. Howdy to you in North Dakota. Started by my stash because of this. That's a high honor. I'm always on the fence. Is it like a costume? I don't want it to wear me. That's when you get. That's when you know. So that's why I shave it periodically because it's like, am I wearing the mustache or is the mustache wearing me? Who's to say? Yeah. So this is. We're gonna speak with Hunter from Bachelorette very soon once he goes. Uh, Keep it above the lip. Yeah, I think so. Would you ever wear Harley Davidson merch, modern and vintage? Maybe, but it'd be kind of. I feel like it's kind of posery because I don't ride. I mean, I'm interested in learning to ride, but I don't. So I don't know if I feel like totally cool with that. I feel like folks who ride are pretty. They're pretty. They like. They're kind of serious about that stuff. So I wouldn't want to. Sorry, I'm trying to change the fan here. So I wouldn't want to step on anybody's toes or be seen as being kind of like a poser, as much as I am a poser. In some respects. Hey, there he is. Let's get him on board. Uh, well, we have Hunter incoming, so get ready, everybody. Hey, Hunter. Hello.
What's up, man?
How you doing? Can you hear me?
Can you hear
You're a little laggy,
me?
but maybe it just takes a second. Okay. Are you all right? Are we getting through?
Yeah,
Okay. Cool.
Wi-Fi. Is that better?
Yeah, it's looking a little better.
Okay.
Well, how the hell are you?
What's up, man? I'm sorry
Uh,
we've taken a little time to connect, man.
hey, it's all good. I'm glad we finally made it happen. Give me a little more time to do some research, so I'll be a
Yeah,
more
I want to
professional.
start. I want to start by showing you something.
Yeah?
So I saw a TikTok of yours literally today,
Uh-oh. All
and
right.
I wanted to. I needed to show you.
Hey, it's all in good faith.
Okay, these are one of my favorite fucking pair of jeans, man. I saw it and I was like, don't say it, don't like. I was waiting for you to go back and be like, I'm just kidding. Like these are way in.
We'll come to the constructive criticism portion later on, but for now it's fair game. No worries. Um, yeah,
What's up, man?
not much. I'm glad we could finally make it happen. I mean, I have questions. You tuned in for the Connor one, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, I love that because Connor, I was Connor's roommate,
I know. Yeah.
so I feel partially responsible for the button thing. He would always ask. He would always say, "Am I like, should I go one more button?" And I'm like, "Yeah, go one more button." But apparently that was maybe not the right move.
It's so case by case because I think, look at us both. We both love a deeply opened shirt, and I think that's fair. We should be allowed to do that. Um, well, I mean, I listened to your Chatty Broads episode, and I just really I well, I don't have to put words in your mouth here, but it seems like you're really on this like PR tour. You're setting the record straight about who Hunter is, and I really appreciated that. So could you speak to that at all?
Yeah. um, so I don't know. I mean, I think that a majority of the people that watch the show understand like there's going to be elements of people that you may see that aren't necessarily exactly how they are in real life. For
Hmm.
me, I don't know. It wasn't as much like the fact that I looked like a dweeb, like an asshole sometime, but it was more so like I just felt like my character maybe wasn't represented in the best light. And I mean, I knew that coming on the show, like I knew that was a possibility.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know, like going into it, I thought like I'm a single dad, I'm a recovering drug addict, I'm 14 years sober, like I help get people into hospitals and I speak at jails and schools and
Hmm.
um, I just went through this like a really rough divorce, and so for me it was kind of just like this thing where I didn't I didn't ever think that could happen to me. Like I didn't think I could be the villain, so to speak. Um,
Yeah.
and it did, and that's okay. Like I think for me, like all I can do, a lot of good has come out of this, right? And like for me, like all I can do is take what I have gained, um, the platform that I have now, the community that I've formed, and teach them about myself and educate them about things that I'm passionate about. And so
Hmm.
that's what I'm trying to do now.
Yeah. I mean, so yeah, I mean, like, I feel like that's the scary thing about reality TV, and I think what would be my barrier to entry would be like you never think it's gonna be you, right? You
Yeah.
do have all these like these superlatives to your name, all these things you care about, and all this stuff that matters to you. So, I mean, do you feel like this like getting the word out has been effective? Do you feel like you're changing the narrative a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, I think that a lot of people that follow me here, like, and I've had so many people that have come since I've done these shows, these podcasts, that have
Hmm.
started following me or reached out to me that have said, look, I hated you on the show, but then I heard you talk about Tourette's, or I heard you talk about
Hmm.
neurodivergence, or I heard you talk about addiction, or whatever it may be. And then I
Hmm.
realized, like, that's not you, like, you're a different guy.
Hmm.
And so I think it's effective. I don't think that I'll ever be able to, like, rid myself for a portion of the viewers of
Hmm.
that villain tag. I mean, I still run into people when I'm out, like, in Austin or wherever, that are, the first thing they ask is, like, it's kind of like they like touch, they're like, are you really a jerk? Like, not really, but like
Oh shit.
I can tell
Hmm.
they're feeling me out. And then like 10 minutes into the conversation, they'll say, it's really weird, like, you don't really seem the same. So I don't know, that, like, I feel like it's effective. And again, like, all I can do is try to use what I have and write that story. I think the biggest thing for me was that I spent a lot of time the past decade plus after I got sober, kind of repairing my image, because when you're a drug addict, you do a lot of stuff that you're not proud of. You
Hmm.
steal, you lie, you hurt people
Hmm.
that love you, and so I spent all this time, like, building up my reputation and earning
Hmm.
credibility. And then, like, as I was watching the show unfold, it was kind of like, no, like, because I could just see, like, pieces of my character starting to get chipped away. But
Ah,
like I said, it's nothing that, I mean, the viewership, honestly, like, they have a fairly short attention span. I think that they
yes.
forget it. They forget about the villains fairly quickly. And honestly, like, the people that have taken the time to learn who I really am and understand me, like, those are the type of people that I want to follow me, right? I mean, those are the
Hmm.
type of people I want to, like, engage with me and, like, learn about me. The people that don't, I'm okay with that, you know?
Yeah. It's like the those who matter don't mind and those who mind don't matter kind of mentality.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Um, yeah, I mean, I think this is like it's funny because I would think of myself as being an intelligent person, but like it took me having a conversation with Connor to be like, oh, you're a real person. And I think that's like that gets lost in seeing somebody on TV. It's like even though we know it's reality TV,
Yeah.
it gets lost. Yeah.
You know what's crazy is that I'm watching Paradise right now. It's
Your
it's
boy.
weird because a lot of my friends are on there now, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then there's people on there that I haven't met yet. And
Right.
I catch myself falling back into that viewer role where I'm like, this guy, and then I'm like, whoa, wait a second,
Right.
that's TV.
Yeah.
So even for me, like, I have to remind myself, and like when I watch other reality shows,
Uh-huh.
um, like, whether it's, I love reality TV, unfortunately, but
Yeah.
whatever I'm watching, I have to
Yeah.
now remind myself, that may not be the whole story.
Right. And like, wait, what was I gonna yeah. So are you? I know. I think you kind of inferred on Chatty Broads that part of the reason that you didn't consider Bachelor in Paradise. I don't know if that was a discussion or if you can talk about it.
Yeah.
Was because you have kids, and I think
Uh
and
huh.
you, I know. Are you grateful you're not there right now, or you weren't there? Because
Very grateful.
good.
Um,
Yeah.
I think if I look at the timeline of how things happen,
Uh huh.
um, I would have left, and all the stuff with Aaron and James and some of that, which is completely water under the bridge now. But like at the time, we would have gone straight into onto the
Oh.
beach pretty much. Like, it was, there's not
Right.
a large gap, and
Right.
so it would have been
Oh,
like,
that's crazy.
that feud would have been taken, and it would have been Aaron, Trey, and James, and me,
Uh huh.
and Connor, and and Carl, and Thomas. So it would have been
Everybody.
the three villains, the three mean girls, and then Connor. So, like, it would have been bad. It would have been a bloodbath. And honestly, like, when I got home and saw my kids, and like when they hugged me, I just felt I felt like I don't ever want to leave again. Like, I don't ever want to be away from you guys again. And like I could tell, like, they were affected by it. it's hard, right? So people are constantly asking, like, are we going to see you on the island? Like, what about next season? And honestly, it's just like, for me, like, I have other priorities. Like, I think if I were 24 and I was single and I didn't have kids and maybe my career wasn't where it was at, then sure, it'd be a
Hmm.
no-brainer. Like, but for me, like, I'm in a different place. Like, I'm 35,
Hmm.
I'm a dad. Like, I love my career, I'm proud of my career, I need my career. So I
Hmm.
just, probably not for me, at least not for me right now.
Okay. I mean, I think that's, I think it's tough because you can take someone who has like kind of a hero arc on, even for someone who does have a hero arc and put them on Paradise, and it's like, it's all gone, in like a day, which we're seeing with Brendan right now.
Yeah.
Um, so I
Yeah,
think,
that's
yeah,
been insane. I've never seen anything like that.
yeah. And those are people you presumably don't know, so, right?
I don't, but there's also this like weird thing in Bachelor Nation where he kind of, like, I've already met, like me and Mike Johnson have hung out several times. I've met a lot of them. I haven't met Brendan yet, but there's almost like this unspoken, I don't want to say bond because that's way too cheesy, but I feel for him because I don't know how that all went down. It's just so hard for me to not feel bad for people that are going
Yeah.
through things, no matter what. I always like want to like say that, well, we don't know if that's the whole story, but it's also crazy like how like impactful what you say in a 10-minute period on camera, how that can impact
Hmm.
social media and your life, you know?
Yeah. Well, I guess like, so I guess just let's run it back for a second. I
Yeah.
don't know how, do you have a hard out tonight? Is there like a
No,
time?
I'm good.
'Cause okay, cool. We won't go too long, but how did you decide to go on the show in the first place? What was the impetus there?
Um, so they actually found me on TikTok. They
Oh
found
shit,
my
you're on TikTok.
TikTok.
Okay.
Yeah, they found my TikTok, and I think they do like they 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 recruit some people, so to speak, but I think what
Mhm.
they do is like on the first like cast, right? They'll pull as many people as they think could be a fit, and the people that have been referred or applied or whatever,
Mhm.
and they go through that first pass. For me, like when they reached out, it was on Instagram, and I was like, this is not like, this is fake. I pretty much told the girl, like, you're fake. And she called me from an LA number and like had me look up her LinkedIn, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like,
Wow.
you're not fake. But for me, like I'd gotten a divorce during COVID.
Oh my
It was
God.
so miserable. Yeah, it was already like the
Uh,
hardest thing in the world, but then you have COVID, and
oh
I
God.
started dating like right
In
after,
co
like, yeah,
Yeah.
right like right when things slowly started opening back up. Like
Uh,
my first dating experiences uh after a decade of not dating was with a mask on, so very
oh
weird.
God.
But I was in this place where I told myself, like, I told the network this. I said, I don't. There's so many things that are in the way of this happening, right? Like, there's my job, there's my kids, my ex-wife, like all kinds of my career. So like, if those work out, then and y'all still like me, then I'll do it. But I just didn't think that that was going to work out, and it ended up, everything kind of fell into place. And for me, like, the decision at first, it was like, you'd be crazy to do this. Like, you just got a divorce last year. You're not in a place to do this. But for me, it was almost like I told myself, like, maybe this is like the crazy, like, love thing that's supposed to happen to me. Like, maybe this is what the way that I like find my way back into like being okay with being in love or falling in love. And so I just did it. I took a chance. And I mean, after all is said and done, totally don't regret it, like, at all. Would do it 100 times over, and for a couple of reasons. Mainly, meeting Katie was incredible. She's an incredible woman. We're very good friends now. We text she's awesome. Like I
Hmm.
feel like we'll always be there for each other. But also the guys, like it is not like this whole bromance thing. It goes beyond that. Like Connor's my best friend, John H, my best friend. Like these guys, Michael A, like they are like my best friends now, and like guys that will be in each other's weddings, and guys that like. I mean, Mike P calls me. He FaceTimes me every week, and he like checks
Oh,
in.
Wow.
And that's cool, right? So when you're an adult, it's kind of hard to find like new
totally.
real friendships.
Yeah.
So that was a really cool part of the experience. So I totally don't regret it.
Yeah. That's
I mean, yeah, it was like that was one of the like consistently most beautiful things about the season was I feel like um, that someone's talking some shit to me in the comments here. Um, that like I felt like you guys really seemed like there's like a real genuine friendship that was being built there, and that was really fun to see. Um, and yeah, I were there any fun like I guess it makes sense that you and Connor would be paired together. Were there any like weird roommate pairings that like didn't make sense? That like not
Um,
as seamless? Not that they were like
you
didn't get
know,
along, but just like yeah.
at first, Mike P and Thomas were roommates, and I didn't understand it at first, but I completely understand it now. And the reason is that, like, Thomas had a hard time on the show, and I think Mike P was like the perfect person to have with him. It was they were just like a really good pairing. I guess the opposite of a weird pairing would be a perfect pairing, which was Brendan and James. They were they were like,
Yeah, yeah. Two peas in a pod.
just so perfect together. I don't know. I don't know that the other roommate situations were weird. It's kind of hard because guys left like in the middle and people switched a lot. But to be honest,
Yeah.
I don't really think you could have had that weird of pairings. I mean, I feel like most of the guys that got paired off clicked very well, but I think that naturally is going to happen because, like, for me and Connor, we'd go back to the room after whatever at 4 a.m, and we would just sit there and talk. And Connor's an emotional guy. I'm an emotional guy, and like Connor's sitting there fucking singing me songs and shit. 4 a.m. But yeah, I think that when you're in that, like the only time you can go to your room and you have that person, you're gonna connect.
So I know you're a big advocate for going to therapy, as am I. Love therapy. What percentage of the Bachelor contestants, typical Bachelorette contestants, would you say have been to therapy?
Man, I don't know. I didn't talk a lot about their personal journeys with that. I don't typically like to. I don't know. For me, like it's more about like talking about my experience and hoping like that has an effect. But based on kind of the personalities, out of the guys that I was with, I don't know, 30%. Here's my thought. I think that younger guys maybe aren't as big into that, right? And maybe that's a stereotype, but I just don't necessarily see that as being kind of in the forefront. I think for people that, I mean, especially like for people that have been married or they have kids, like, and I know there are only two of us, but I mean, that's a pretty prevalent thing. Like, I don't know if Michael has been to counseling, but I can assume that he has. I think that people like Mike P, I don't know if he's been in counseling, but I guarantee you that he's been in a form of therapy from his Christianity, whether that be mentorship or whatever it is. I do think that probably people in Bachelor Nation, I think a lot of people are in therapy. And I don't mean that as a bad thing that when you go on the show, you're in therapy. What I mean is that I do think there are a lot of people that are pretty progressive, and especially around mental health in Bachelor Nation. And I
Hmm.
think those are the people that you see that are willing to kind of just say like, hey, yeah, I'm in therapy. Like, I think everyone should be in therapy, you know?
Hmm.
There are people that are probably in therapy right now in my circle of family or friends that I don't know about that have probably been going forever, and they're just afraid to say it, you know?
Yeah, there's.
And that's okay too. I guess for
Mhm.
me, like, I hope that we as a society can normalize it more and like just make sure that there's not a stigma around it and people don't feel bad going and doing that, right? Because it's so
Yeah.
important. Like, it's so easy to get burnt out, and it's so easy, like, especially with social media, like, to compare yourself to other
Hmm.
people and like
Hmm.
not being good enough. And I mean, right now, like, it's suicide prevention awareness month, it's recovery awareness month. Like, it's a huge piece of society that I just wish we would talk about more.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I think that it seems like it's a growing, it is something that like day by day people are willing to discuss more. But I feel like definitely if you maybe went into Bachelor Nation without therapy, you come out of it at some point, uh, not necessarily needing it, but I feel like there are stresses of like being viewed on such a large scale. Um,
Yeah,
and and so I guess not necessarily not like in a super private way, but like have you sort of has your like threshold for like being like perceived changed like over the weeks and months after the show is done? Are you like, okay, I'm like a little better with this?
yeah, I've gotten a lot better with it, I will say.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I mean, if I'm being real, like, I'm an insecure person. Like,
Yeah,
I have
as are we all. Yeah.
I have body dysmorphia issues. I have approval issues. I mean, I have a ton of like, I have a lot of followers on TikTok, and I love my people, like the people that have followed me and like my community. But I also like part of that like insecurity is wanting to please all those people, and so I think, yeah, like
Mm-hmm.
right after
Mm-hmm.
the show, I knew that there was a wave coming, but I didn't think about like the indirect wave, like going on Twitter and seeing, thousands of people saying
Mm-hmm.
things about your face and like just the stuff that you just don't think about. And I think for me, like, it took me a second to really like sit there and understand, like, look, there's a lot of people in the world. There's a lot of people that watch this show. This is a fraction of those people. They're
Mm-hmm.
going to say this because they don't understand. Like, you may see it, you're a real person, but it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter. It just doesn't. But I wasn't ready for it. And people always ask me, like, they're like, what's the number one piece of advice for someone going on the show? And it's, you got to be mentally strong as an ox. I mean, you've got to be, your
Mm-hmm.
mental health has got to be very, very good. Especially if you plan on being a big part of the show, or you think that
Right.
you're going to be a lot on the screen a lot, because you're going to get bad attention. You're going to get good attention. And I think I don't focus on that enough. I've gotten
Yeah.
plenty of good attention, but yeah, it's gotten better. I've
Yeah.
learned, and I wish people were more like you. Like, I think you did a video of me once, and it wasn't like dragging me completely. It was just more like nicely, like, hey, maybe you could have done this. People aren't like you though. People are like, what are you doing, you asshole? Like, why are you wearing that?
I am trying to keep it classy, but I do appreciate that, and I and I do hate to think that I could have been part of this like avalanche of shit you have to deal with
No,
because
no,
it's
no.
like and same for Connor. It's like, but I'm really glad that you were such a good sport and were willing to come on because it's like this is more enriching for me and I think for the people watching to like get to know you as a human being and like we shoot the shit a little bit and
Yeah,
we all learn some.
yeah, man.
Um,
Yours is nothing. I love your takes.
um, yeah, and you know it's and we'll we'll touch base on some other things, but so you got this like bad rap because you had seen The Bachelorette before. You were called a super fan, um, which is crazy because is it? on Chatty Broads, you mentioned this. You were like, there are definitely people on there that had seen the show before and maybe played their cards a little closer to the chest. But are there people that go on that show like truly having no idea what it's about? 'Cause that seems crazy.
I wouldn't say not. Anyone that gets to the finals and that is about to devote potentially 2 months or really like a long part of their life to the show, I think everyone there like studied a little bit, right? You've got it.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
there were definitely a few guys that didn't have any clue what was going on. I mean, like they had maybe like gone and watched a few episodes.
But like, what's a rose?
It was clear these guys were like, so wait, we're going home. We could go home tonight. I'm like, yeah, dude. Like,
these drinks are free. What?
So yeah, I mean, there were people that are like that. For me, you know, like I was married for a long time. We had these watch parties at our neighbors. I watched it in college with people. And I like the show. Like I like reality TV in general, but I love the show. And yeah, before I went on, hell yeah, like I was on Reddit reading about everything I could. I was trying to understand like the ins and the outs. I was trying to understand like what's a pack. I mean, all these crazy things you can find on the internet. And I went back and watched a few seasons that I had already seen. But yeah, it's kind of like what I said on Chatty Broads. Like, I think you can do both. Like, you can be a fan of the show and still be genuine about your feelings towards the lead.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I love the show. So does Katie. Like, I think a lot of people forget, like, Katie's a bit of a super fan herself. So the fact that, like, I was getting dragged for this when Katie kind of was the same way is always funny to me. But
yeah, I mean, I feel like I don't know if it was the last 1 or 2 episodes when you're being sent out, it was like, it felt very transparent to me. It's like Hunter's a scapegoat at this point. It doesn't feel like, it didn't feel like none of that shit really stuck.
The sacrificial lamb.
Sacrificial lamb, yes. But yeah, I think that's like, but it feels like there is this like stigma about like, it's like the guys on the show aren't supposed to know what the show is kind of how they act. And it's like,
well, you know what? Like, no one wants to admit that there's a game mentality to this experience. No one wants to admit that there's a competition going on and that it is in a way like a game and that there is strategy. I mean, you can say that that's calculated all you want, but like, here's the thing, like if I'm dating a girl or if I'm talking to a girl that's talking to other men, you think I'm not going to strategize? And I don't mean like conniving, but am I going to go like buy flowers and make sure to play her favorite song when I pick her up on a date? Like, that's not calculated. That's being fucking intentional. Like, that's being thoughtful about what you're doing. Call it strategy, call it whatever you will, but like, when I want something, I try to do things that put me in the best light to gain that. And I don't consider that to be like malicious. You know what I mean?
Do you feel like as you were going on, were you thinking strategy at all? Were you like, I'm gonna have to enter like this or do that, and like how quickly did that fall apart or stay consistent?
I think that so like I've listened to Game of Roses podcast for a long time, and they talk about this all the time. And so I think going in, it wasn't necessarily like, how do I strategize? It was more of an awareness of, you've got to remember, like, this isn't just about going on and meeting a girl. This is about the other guys and how they view you. This is about production and how they view you. This is about how the audience will eventually view you. Because all those things matter. Like, and so like going into this, like, that's how I treated it. But at the same time, like when I met Katie, a lot of that shit went right out the window. Like when I met her, it was kind of just like, oh, it's almost like you have this script and you go up to the podium and you're ready to give your speech, And by the time you're done talking, you didn't say a word on the script. Like, so I go into this with all these thoughts. I'm in quarantine for a long time, and then I see her out of the limo, and it's like all that shit goes away, and I'm like, okay, here's the girl. I want the girl. That's all.
Okay.
I just want the girl.
And it sounds like they caught you at a really specific emotional time in your life too, where you're really open to this experience. And I think that like as a viewer, sometimes you watch the show with like a lot of with a very critical perspective, and it just so happened that your life kind of lined up with the show. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, so if you think about like my story, and our stories are not at all the same, and I feel so bad for Michael, but like Michael was at a time in his life that was just so crucial emotionally for him. I think Michael needed that whole experience for a lot of reasons, and I think mentally it helped him out a lot. It was kind of like that for me in a sense that I was in a place where I kind of needed that reprieve too, but that reprieve needed to be about love maybe. And so yeah, like I was almost like beaten into this state of vulnerability where I was willing to just do whatever it took, you know?
Well, I've beaten around the bush for like a half hour, but we got to talk about clothes at some point.
We have to.
So I want to know the whole like I'd be curious to know like your journey with clothing, when you started thinking about clothes, or when, and like the pre-Bachelorette, but just like what your thoughts were.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of this started. I can remember the first time that it had even dawned on me. I think I was in like 6th grade, and I was wearing like wind shorts and t-shirts to school every day. And my sister, who's 3 years older, she like sat me down one night and literally had like an intervention with me. And she was like, honey, if you ever want girls to like you, you've got to start dressing better because you dress like a slob. So she literally like told me this, and I was like, really? Like, and of course me being, you know, needing approval, I was like, okay, mom, we got to go to Dillard's. Like, we got to fix this. And so of course, like, my mom takes me to Dillard's and buys me all these khaki shorts and polo shirts and crap like that. And so, yeah, that was the first time when I started, I wouldn't call it fashion, but I started dressing better. And of course, it's hard to think about back in those days because things are a lot different now. But I was also like beginning this arch, like I was beginning this journey towards like frat boy, because I was going to go to the University of Texas at Austin. My dad was in a frat. I was such a prep jock, like pop collar, pink collar guy. And so like that's how I started dressing. I have pictures of me in high school where pop collar, all that. So I did that crap for the next, like literally the next 8 years. So there was no fashion. My fashion was literally like your cookie cutter Easter Sunday colors of polo and Lacoste collared shirts with khaki shorts or navy shorts and boat shoes.
Boat shoes,
and that's what I did. With the exception of during pledgeship, which we were only allowed to wear jeans and non-branded collared shirts. So, yeah, like that was it for me. And I didn't really ever think about fashion so after I got sober, I went back to school. I was focused on different things, didn't care about the fraternity, lost 100 pounds.
Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah, so I was like 280 at my biggest, and I lost all this weight. And so for me, it was kind of like, okay, like this is the first time that I can actually wear things that like skinny guys wear. Because, you know, like when you're a big guy like that, at least for me, like I had no idea where I could even start. You know, like I had to wear certain stuff. and I was also like super sweaty, and like I couldn't wear what I wanted to wear. So when I lost all that weight, I was like, maybe I can actually start like dressing nicer. Um, I wouldn't say that like I jumped right into fashion. I mean, I think my idea of fashion just kind of turned into this skinnier jeans with maybe V-necks, a little tighter fitting. I started wearing more tailored, like Banana Republic stuff, Boss, stuff like that. And I did that for a while. And to be honest, like I've never been able to pull off in my head. I've never been able to pull off like fashion trends. I just haven't. Like I watch you like do some of your TikToks and stuff, and I'm like, dude, I couldn't do that. Like I can't do it. And maybe I can. It's just I don't know how, and I'm not doing it right. I have like, and this is one of the big things I wanted to ask you. Like I do Stitch Fix, and they send me stuff all the time, and some of the stuff they send is clearly like trendy, but I just am like immediately I see it and I'm like, I can't do it. You know?
Yeah. Okay. Well, there's a lot of different things I wanted to pick at there. First of all, I want to like, I think just like publicly, like, I want to say like, it is such a bummer that like folks who are on like a body journey, you know, feel like at some point, like they can only like start like dressing the way they want to dress, like when they reach an end point, which is a bummer.
I
Like
agree.
I would wish that there are more, that there are more options for folks, that they didn't feel so stuck and like they have to change everything to start dressing differently.
Yeah.
Which is,
For
and
me, it
like
was
I think,
always about trying to like thin myself down and hide it. You know what I mean?
yeah, and it's a shame because I feel like, you know, like I think that there are, and the tricky thing is like I think when people who are, when people like ask me like who is someone you consider to be like, you know, they used loaded terms like overweight or whatever, and it's like I like, even if there are people like, I don't want to like label anybody that, like there are people that are dressing great that are different body types, but it's like I'm not gonna like I'm not gonna name names because it's like that's not for me to do.
Yeah.
So
But it is hard because I think
yeah,
for overweight people, like there needs to be someone they can look up to and kind of like not idolize, but like as an example, here's how you could dress and be trendy. Because I've seen plenty of people that aren't like fit necessarily that look super fashionable. You know what I mean?
And like I used to work in retail, and there would be a lot of times when guys would be like, you'd be like, I don't want to buy this like nice pair of jeans until like I reach a certain goal, and I'd be like, you gotta buy them now because like you never know like what the future holds, and like you gotta treat yourself to this nice thing now. But I also feel like there's like people are like, it's tough because I feel like fashion is a word I throw around a lot, but it's like, but like I don't know like what the designer fashion is today, like that stuff, like whatever, like no matter how plugged in you get to fashion, there's always going to be a big chunk of it you don't get, you know?
Yeah,
and I feel like
I googled fashion trends 2021 before the show, and dude, some of the shit that I saw, I was like, if I go on TV with that, I will get torn apart. Like, so I guess like for me, some of that like fashion, designer fashion, it gets kind of out there for me. Like I think that's a world where I don't even know that I want to be in. You know?
No, I totally, I agree 100%. And it's a hard, like, I think what I would hope to impart is like, there are a lot of really like deceptively simple things that like are never gonna not, I think, be cool. Cause it's like a picture of James Dean in the 50s is still cool. And you don't have to like fully cosplay James Dean, but like, you know, a good white t-shirt and a good pair of blue jeans, that's never gonna not.
Hey, I'll tell you right now, one group date, Greg did this James Dean look, and he just flawless. So
Yeah,
I know what you're saying. I totally do. And that's another example where, honestly, I think that Greg's build he's a little bit smaller. Like I feel like I'm kind of a bigger guy. I don't know that I
Uh-huh.
could pull that off. I think that he pulls it off because he's a smaller guy. I don't know. Is that wrong?
I mean, I think that we as human beings all have this like grass is greener kind of mentality about how other people dress, and it's like I I feel like I've been really lucky because I've been validated on this platform to where I'm like, oh sure, like I can do this. But like when I started, I was like, I don't, there's things I was like, I don't know
Yeah.
about this one, and um, and like they're always like they're friends I have in fashion. There's like one of my friends, Danny, who I used to work with, is like one of the most fashionable guys I know. He's he's shorter than me. He's much thinner than me, and just everything like just drapes on. He's like a coat rack, but in a good way. Like everything just hangs off him,
Yeah.
and um, I'm like, and it just I think no matter who you are, it feels like that guy's doing it better than me. Uh, but I don't. I think that like I think that you have. So I've been looking at your fit pics and I on Instagram, and I've been like running the math, and I think that like all of this stuff that I mean I don't want to dress you into a way that doesn't feel like authentic to you, but I feel like I do want to, you're on this PR tour, you're proving that Hunter's this person, and I was like trying to think of like what are ways that, like we could enhance that, like
Yeah,
make you the
because
most.
honestly, like I wear
Mhm.
like the same 6 shirts. It's terrible. I mean, I'm here to admit, like I need help, doc. Like,
And that's why I'm here, it's like, and I feel like it's also tough because it sounds like when you start like your like come to Jesus moment with fashion was like unfortunately kind of like you have to do this to be desired, and it was like, and it sucks because like maybe if you'd been given a little bit more time, you would have organically like found like a jacket you liked, and then like because it's hard when
yeah.
you're coming from this wave. It's like it's not something. It's like because in a perfect world, it's something we do for ourselves, and we come to like enjoy it and like dig it, and
I also think that like, and this is an excuse, but I'm in Houston.
yeah.
It's 100 degrees and it's so humid. In the winter, I just feel like it's so much easier in the winter. And maybe in the winter I'll
Oh,
say
totally.
that in the summer it's easier. But like if I'm going on a date, I remember the first date I went on post divorce, and I wore like a button down long sleeve shirt, and I can remember sitting on the patio with this girl just dripping sweat, and
Yeah.
just thinking like I remember at one point just telling her like, look, I'm so sorry, like I'm sweating so much and I had no idea, like, and she was like, yeah, you could have worn like a shirt, like not a dress shirt. So I don't know, man, like I feel like I'm the most comfortable in that. It's a slender look, but I'm all ears, man, and I hope that after this you can maybe like send me here and there, like if you see shit, like send it to me because I'm definitely open to that.
Yeah. I mean, well, before, if you don't mind taking me back a little bit more, just tell me
Yeah,
about like what you packed and how you planned for the Bachelorette. How you did
yeah. So I actually called a girlfriend of mine, not a girlfriend, but a friend, and I was
that.
like, we got to go to the mall. Like we got to go shopping. We've got to go to Nordstrom. Like I don't have time to like look online. So I we went to Nordstrom. We went to a couple like more boutique stores. Um, I feel like I got a lot of clothes that I didn't wear. I got a
Mm,
lot of like short sleeve button downs that I didn't wear. I got a few collared shirts that I didn't wear. I got a lot of long sleeve stuff that I didn't wear.
mm.
One thing I didn't do is I didn't pack for really really cold.
And
And
it
so
looked
like
cold there.
yeah, and so in one of the episodes where I have a ton of airtime, I'm wearing Connor's like jacket, his like his,
Oh,
and it's so big on me because he's
oh
so
yeah.
much he's taller than me. He's like almost 6 foot, and so like when I sit down, and this is one of the things you mentioned, like when I sit down, my coat like would ride up
It was
because it
that
was,
jacket.
yes,
Okay.
it was that jacket, but it was, dude, it was like 20 degrees and I didn't have a coat. And so it was like, I either have to wear someone, and if it wasn't his, it was going to be like Thomas's, which would have been astronomically worse, right?
You
Because
would
he's
be
like
like up to here on you.
yeah, he's like 6'4". And so a lot of times, like, you'll see on the show, like, and my sister said this, she's like, gosh, like, you just seeing you now, like, in clothes where you're not like, where it's not like riding up on you is like so much better. So that's a big mistake that I made. My suits, I feel like I could have tailored my suits a lot more. I think, like, I didn't have a lot of time. I mean, they did not let us know, like, that we didn't have a ton of leeway, right? And so I go to Nordstrom and I'm like, I need these suits by Tuesday. And so, and it was like a week away or something, but I needed all this tailoring done. Like, you can't just pick up a suit off the rack and expect it to look tailored. And so, like, they're like, well, we can do this and we can bring this in, but if we were to do that, it would take 2 weeks and all this stuff. So I did what I could. And I don't think my suits were tailored. Like, I think if I were going to do this again, I would go to a clothier and, like, a professional and, like, have them, like, help me, like, pair together some dress shirts. Cause I literally just, like, picked out dress shirts, like, at Nordstrom, which when you're going to go on TV, you probably like to spend a little bit more time. And again, like, I had lost a lot of weight in the divorce. So when I got divorced, I lost probably about like 40 pounds. Cause, like, when I was a dad, I put on, you know, some of that weight back on over the 10-year period. I put on like 40 or 50 pounds. When I got a divorce, I lost a lot of weight. I went vegan, started, you know, working out a lot. And so all my suits and all my dress shirts, they didn't fit. You know what I mean? They were all like big. So this was like, when I went and got clothes for the show, I got like everything new, and it was all just such a rush. It had been COVID. I hadn't been to the office for a year, so I didn't need dress shirts. So I hadn't actually gotten anything new dress shirt wise since COVID, when I was 40 pounds bigger. So I think it's a lot of preparation, lack of preparation, but also, you know, even if I had time, there were guys like, I could look at like Justin. Justin has really, really good style. James has really, really good style. Those guys seemingly know what they're doing. And so even if I would have had time, I wouldn't look like that because I don't know anything about it.
Well, you know, that's good to know, right? Like, for me, as someone who's criticizes outfits, to know you guys had so little time. And suits are hard though, because I don't really find them to be, me personally, it's like I don't like them that much. And like, I have a friend, his name is Ethan. He's like got a blog and a podcast, and he talks about just like suits. That's like his whole thing. And it's like, there is so much about that I don't know at all.
You know what? I don't like them either. I don't look. I just casually, I look better than I do in a suit. And like, I've had so many people, my sister included. My sister was just like, "Look, you look a lot better when you're just kind of just dressed casually than you do in a suit." And I don't know if it's like my neck or you know, like, I don't know what it is, but I agree. I mean, especially seeing it on TV. I mean,
I don't think it's any physical attribute. I think it's just like, it's the way that, like, they're just like not like designed for comfort. Like, so much clothing after that is like made to lounge in or hang out in or move in, and that stuff is not that way. So
and when you're in it for 10 hours on camera, it's just like,
get me out
of this.
Okay. Yeah, and so do you feel like it sounds like you got a lot of shirts that you didn't end up wearing. Do you feel like, were they too much of a stretch? Did you just not feel comfortable in them, or?
I still haven't worn them.
What? How, you just don't like them? What do you think?
I don't know, man. Like, I think that it's like a lot of things in my life, and I think in a lot of people's lives, where you get into this comfort zone and like you get a few compliments, and then you're like, okay, well, this is safe. Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna do this because it's safe. Like I called you the other night when I was going out, and I was like, this or this, and it's literally like two boring black shirts, like almost the same shirt, and you're probably like, I mean, neither. Like, but so it's like, but that's safe for me.
Yeah.
Whereas like I'm maybe not like some of these shirts were like it was more of a linen like button-up shirt that like I was told it looked good at the store, but I never wore it after that, and
Yeah.
like it just wasn't safe. So I don't know. It's like I think it's about again like that insecurity of not knowing, right? Like you don't want to show up and have people be like, what is this guy wearing? When you could just go the safe route, right? But I don't think that people that are fashionably like looked up to or whatever are safe. I think they do what is I don't know.
Well, I think that like I heard like described really well like the difference between like fashion and style, and I feel like because there are people that are like into fashion and don't have style, you know, like somebody could buy all the most expensive things and just like not rock them, and I feel like
Right.
I heard a guy it was like a style writer, fashion writer, and he was like style is just like how you look in jeans and a t-shirt, and if you're like pulling that off, that's style, you know, and it's about just kind of like your essence, and I think that like you are a handsome dude. You like you know like I think that you can rock that stuff for sure. And like I feel like you seem at ease in your clothes and in your body currently, which is a lot of work on your part. We found out. Um, and I think like yeah, I was thinking because like I think your options that night were like Henley or Polo, I believe. And I
They
was just
were.
like I want to be just like just t-shirt, you know, like I feel like black t-shirt. I'm like all for. Um, because it's like the simplest thing, you know?
Yeah.
And I think because you have good arms too. So like roll that sleeve a little bit, bam, you're
Yeah.
there, you know? Easy as that.
Yeah, man. And I mean I guess like that is kind of like the way that I look the best, but also like when it comes to things like shoes, like um people will wear like they'll wear like what like the all stars, like the high
The
top,
Chucks. Yeah.
yeah, like chucks and high tops and like pull them off. And I've never like gone to that and tried it
Hmm.
because I don't know, like I don't know if I can pull it off, but I feel like I could.
Yeah.
I just haven't, right? Or I don't
So
know like how to roll my jeans up the right way or what, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. So in answer to both those things, I think you definitely can pull off Chucks. I think they're like the foundational sneaker that every person should have. And they're also great because like the more fucked up they get, the better they look, which
yeah,
is like I feel like jeans are the same way. Yeah. And I think because I know that you wear like a very slim jean that comes in pretty tight, and sometimes
uh-huh.
it's hard. It's hard with a high top when the leg opening is so small. I think if you had like a kind of like you know Dickies are great for that reason, or a pant with a little bit of a wider leg opening that sits a little bit, I think gives you a little more room. I think that's the answer to that problem.
Yeah, and what's the rule? Because we talked, I mean, we saw this. I think it was David Scott that got so much shit for having his high, his his pants were really really high, um, and he got a lot of shit for it. There are a lot of memes about it. Like, what's the rule on that? Like, is there only a certain time to do that? Like with a no show sock or because
um,
I hear people talk shit about it, but then I also hear people that say like, no, that's good. Like it looks good.
like how high the pant should go up your leg? Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Or like even rolling up your jeans a little bit and wearing like a flat white. You know what I mean? Like Vans.
yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's weird. People like try and make. I think rolling your jeans or cuffing your jeans is like a totally valid way to rock your pants. Like I'm wearing this pair of white painter's pants today, and I was wearing a chunky sneaker, and uh, they're a little long on me, and I didn't. So I was just like, you know what? And I just cuffed them once, so they were a little higher off my shoe, And I feel like that's how I feel like rolling your pants should be. Like they shouldn't be super long, but it's like it's a case by case thing because like
Yeah.
some shoes it's better. And people try and be like the cuff is out or like the cuff is over, and it's like the cuff is not over. It's just like that's the easy fix, like day to day from one thing to another. So and yeah, I mean like I only have like calf socks, like high socks. I don't have any no-show socks because I don't mind if a little sock peeks through. Um, I mean, like I try and like have a couple of like nice new socks. I get like the Uniqlo socks that look a little like dressier and white,
Yeah.
and I'll have some in the rotation. So it's like if I'm going on a date, I'll have like a fresh sock, you know, because you can see them. So
Yeah.
um, and some people disagree with me. Sometimes I'll wear a white sock with like a black pant, and people will be like, "What the fuck are you doing?" But you know, I don't know. So, you can't please everybody. Um, so yeah, I feel like I I think that like I think you are like an excellent candidate for like rocking all the shit you want to rock. And I don't I think that like it's a really natural impulse for all of us to like be afraid of new things. And also like some trends like don't aren't worth chasing. It's like I don't know that I'll ever get into like wearing a sweater vest or like a dangly earring, you know? Like
Yeah.
that may never be me.
Right.
But like some like I feel like but like some of those like some of those sweater vests have like a cool V-necks in their sweater, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, a V-neck sweat long sleeve sweater, I fuck with that. So like sometimes there's like a detail that you might be like, I don't know, does that seem reasonable?
No, it does. Like I got a soft blazer in one of my
Oh yeah,
switch last year, and I was like, what the fuck is this? But like I put it on, and it kind of actually like I kind of liked it,
yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like when I looked at it, I was like, there's no way I would ever wear this. And
Mhm.
then I put it on, and it actually kind of, it kind of worked. So I think there is stuff. I would have never thought about that though. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
totally. I mean, it's weird because I feel like there is like I was really lucky because I worked in fashion for a while, and there's this part of men's fashion that I was in where it was like a lot of made in America stuff, made in Japan stuff, and everybody that making it was just super nice. They just like cared about clothes so much, and and there was no like diva personalities. It was just people that like loved clothes, and I was so blessed because that's how I learned everything that I learned. It was just like through really like
Yeah.
sweet people, and it's like I know like there was like a guy in here who I kind of teased in one of my videos recently, and I it's like it's tough because sometimes I'll make a video that I like the one I did today, which is just kind of it's a bit with a little bit of a message, but it's just my opinion. I'm just one guy, and at the end of the day, I'm hoping that I'm like helping people more than I'm like hurting them. I don't want to think that I'm like,
Yeah.
really hurting anybody's feelings. And sometimes, I come from a comedy background, so sometimes I want to joke around, and sometimes the joke doesn't land, and sometimes feelings are hurt. And I don't want to do that, but hopefully that people are learning a little bit from these
No,
things as
man.
well.
Like whenever you did your video, I started following you, and I love following you, man. It's because it's not just it's educational, right? But it is to your point. Like it's also entertaining. Like you did one where you showed this guy, and then you showed an ad from like a 1970s cartoon or something. I don't know. You're comparing the two, but it was awesome. So
Thank you. Um, yeah, I mean, well, I guess,
one other thing though that I
yeah,
wanted to say,
yeah.
so I'm a dad, right?
You're a
And
dad, yeah.
I also feel like there's a little bit of judgment, like when I try to be like trendy or I try to be fashionable, and I'm a
Hmm.
fucking dad, like like it's not at soccer practice, but you know what I mean. Like I
Right.
show up at the PTA meeting, and I'm wearing like trendy stuff. I'm gonna look like, and I shouldn't care, but like there's a little bit of a stigma there. You know what I mean? Like I'm
Yeah.
never gonna wear New Balances and a freaking in cargo shorts because I'm not doing it. But at the same time, like I also feel like sometimes I'm out of place, and maybe
Yeah.
something to talk to my therapist about, and not
Uh,
you.
no, lay it on me because I feel like that is the big fear. And I feel like it's hard as you're evolving stylistically that there are people that knew you from before who are going to be like, what, like my friends, God bless them, sometimes they'll give me shit about like if I'm doing a live, they'll give me shit about that. They might come in the comments and like give me
Right.
shit or like if I show up to and when I started like dressing differently, people would come in, people would kind of like, make fun of me a little bit and it was just like but like if people are making fun of you because you look good, then it's like that's not like do better, like
Yeah.
if the bit is you look good today, that's not so bad.
Yeah. No, I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
Totally, man.
I mean, but like a lot of the stuff that like I think when people are trying to like rag on me, they're saying like he's got like dad style, but it's like that's because like I like stuff that is like that like is comfortable and like I do like New Balances. I mean, not necessarily with cargo shorts.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Like, there's a way to
Yeah,
pull
I hear
those
you.
off,
I hear you.
right?
Yeah.
I love your style, man. But again, like, your style is you, and I don't think that I
Mhm.
could pull it off. You know what I mean? Like, one
Right.
thing I tried recently that I have like actually taken to a little bit is like a not uh it's like a button up that's a little looser fitting but like stripes,
Yeah.
like
Hell yeah.
I don't know what the material is really. It's not linen, but it's kind of linen-y, and
Sure.
that
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
with like jorts, which I get shit for wearing jorts all the time. I'm not gonna stop fucking wearing them. I
Don't
mean,
worry. Yeah. Don't stop. Yeah.
like, I feel like they're fine. I feel like
Yeah.
if you can pull them off, right? But
Right.
I've started doing that, and that's kind of your style a little bit. But like, again, like I do feel like there are just certain things that like fit certain people, you know?
Hmm. I mean, yeah, and I like that's the thing. It's like I know that like at the end of the day, there's going to be some things that don't gel. But it's like if I could get you in a couple, if I could get you in like if you have like make sure you have a good pair of like raw denim jeans that fit you nicely, and that because like those are take years to break in until they're like that nice. So if you just have something to work on like that, you got a couple packs of like good plain tees, like they don't have to be fancy, like Uniqlo does great ones. Um, just like the basics, and then like I think if you're feeling good in those, then like you can talk like that's when you throw on that linen shirt you like, or that's when you like
Yeah,
try a new sneaker, and you just gotta have like your bit like the because I feel like jeans and a t-shirt is like a great everyday uniform because it's like people don't you're wearing the same thing technically, but like it's so low key that no one's ever like going to be like, hey, your outfit repeating or something.
right, right,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So and honestly, it's good to outfit repeat because like we shouldn't have too many clothes, all of us. But and I don't know. I mean, I also have a great vegan hair pomade recommendation for you.
Okay,
So it's the one I use. It's called O'Dowd's.
O'Dowd's.
O'Dowd's, Douds, O'Dowd's.
See, I
And
can't
there's like
even tell you wearing anything. That's what I like about it.
yeah, it's a super low hold one. I just use a little bit, and that way it doesn't get too straight up, and it kind of just like blends in.
Yeah,
And that's my rec for you. And
we and I'm gonna be sending you stuff because like,
please,
especially as winter comes, because winter's a lot more versatile for me.
yeah, and like that's the thing. It's like sometimes when I post something and people are like, "It's 100 degrees where I am," it's like I get it. Like there are days. I mean, I live in LA, and today it was really hot, and like there are days when it's like, yeah, all I can do is wear my like short shorts and a t-shirt in the house,
Yeah.
and it's like that, and otherwise I'll die. So yeah, you have to make allowances for yourself too. Um, do you have any fun? Is there anything else I can help you with? But I appreciate your time so much. I don't
No,
want to
man,
keep you on.
I appreciate it too. This was fun. You should
Oh, yeah.
definitely do this with Justin or James.
Yeah. I
I'll
mean,
ping them because like
yeah.
they are on their shit, man.
I would love to talk to them. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll ping both of them for you because I think you would love talking to them. But yeah, man, we'll stay in touch. I got your number,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll be I'll be sending you this or that. You can rest assured.
Sure, and I think Connor's going to be in LA soon, and I'm going to help him shop. And then down the road, you
Oh,
need help.
that's awesome.
If I do a good job with him, he'll be our guinea pig. If I do a good job, I can help you out too.
I see
Yeah.
Connor in 2 days. We'll be in
Oh,
Austin.
well, tell him hi for me.
I will, man. All right, I appreciate it, buddy. Have a good night, okay?
Likewise, Hunter. Have a great one. Thanks so much.
Thanks, man.